actually happens. Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, or Gitmo is actually trending today. President Barack Obama announced his plans to shut down the facility there that houses terrorists caught on the battlefield. The president says it will save $180 million a year. We all know he's so concerned about cost and debt and things like that. So he says all we have to do is bring the terrorists here to the United States. What could possibly go wrong? It's like butterflies and teddy bears. Here to discuss, foreign policy guru and political analyst Barry Nussbaum. Barry, welcome back to the show. Good to have you.
Thanks, Dr. G. Good to be here.
All right, Barry, tell us the worst thing that could happen if we closed down the facility at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and brought the terrorists being held there to prisons in the United States.
Well, keep in mind, Dr. G, that every state says no. All the governors say no. The American public is grossly against the concept. And contrary to what we heard today in the president's fairies and unicorns speech, there is not bipartisan support. The majority of both houses of Congress are big time against it, with the exception of two presidential candidates on the Democratic side. Hillary and Bernie think it's a terrific idea. Good luck getting one state governor to say, sure, send me your Gitmo people so I can have terrorists surrounding my prison in South Carolina, which, by the way, is where a lot of them may be targeted.
So let me understand then, what is Obama's motivation here? Because we need to understand that. I mean, he says it's because whenever he talks to foreign leaders, they say somehow having Gitmo open causes more terror and that ISIS is using it. But I'm just not buying that story, Barry. What's really going on here?
I think it's part of the legacy that he wants to leave, which is the last 7 years established around the world, which I like to call the new wussy American foreign policy. The more we capitulate to the progressive leaders in other countries, supposedly, the more popular we become. Obama said today that all world leaders want Gitmo closed, and he hears that complaint constantly, and everybody wants it closed. What's curious is, A, I don't know who everybody is. He didn't tell us that. And B, this is part of the leading from behind that has gotten us into so much disrespect worldwide. I truly believe this is the worst possible thing we can do. It's capitulation to the people that feel a tough America is a bad America. These are not normal criminal prisoners that deserve to be on American soil and deserve to be in the American legal system.
Yes, because the American soil, to put them on the American soil immediately, as you know, gives them constitutional rights. I can think of one thing that accomplishes, and that means that there will be a whole lot much wealthier lawyers who are trying these cases because all these folks have American constitutional rights now. So, Barry, how can Obama be stopped from implementing his plan to close Gitmo?
Great question, G. And he already is stopped. The Congress, in a bipartisan manner, made it impossible for these prisoners to come to the United States without a new vote. Now, later in the afternoon, this is the scary constitutional issue, in a press conference, when asked by ABC News whether the president would resort to executive action to override the will of the Congress, they didn't say no. So he's holding that out there as a threat as of a few hours ago, that the states may end up with these people, and you may have an issue on a constitutional basis of the president saying you're getting these really bad guys, and the various states' governors say, absolutely not in my state, I won't take them. And I'm very curious what's going to happen. It's a little bit reminiscent of what's going on now with the immigration fiasco, where we're taking refugees out of Syria, etc., over the protests of the local states.
But I sort of have a feeling that, like, if he just calls Jerry Brown and says, hey, Jer, want to have a sleepover? I'll serve Eggs Benedict in the morning. I think that Brown would go for it. I think he'd take them. There's an Gitmo detainee held in Spain, Barry, on terror charges. These guys being released from Gitmo are pretty dangerous. But what could they really do here if they were sufficiently detained? You know, if they, I mean, once they came here, if they were truly in a prison that was very high security, what could they do here? What's the big deal?
I'm not worried about them breaking out of any American prison. What I'm concerned about is the added security that's necessary to protect the local citizenry. The reason why these aren't normal prisoners, when you put a murderer away, there aren't maybe 1,000 people that show up trying to bomb the local municipality and the physical infrastructure as a punishment for Mohammed whomever that's in the local prison. What the people are concerned about is security for the communities where these prisons are located. These are prisons within normal civilian population centers that are not equipped for the murderers from the Middle East that might have jihadists coming to protest where they're being held. In the Middle East, when someone's locked up and the local jihadis don't like it, they start blowing up things around the prison until eventually a deal is made between the people with the bombs and the people holding their friend that's in prison. And that's why the states don't want these people. They're also, as you mentioned earlier, quite astutely, very, very opposed to giving constitutional rights under our jurisprudence system to people that, quite honestly, don't deserve it.
Yeah.
What we've been told for the last couple of years is the remaining people at Gitmo are the worst of the worst. And it's not just one guy in Spain that just recently got picked up. There's been lots and lots of these guys that have gone back onto the battlefield and have very vigorously taken the battle back to Americans and Western-leaning alliances. They're bringing the battle back. They're not being converted at Gitmo and then they're released on, quote, probation. They're just sent to the Middle East to a host country who then loses wherever they went, and the guys go away and end up carrying jihad back to us again in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Lebanon, in Syria, and so forth. They were locked up for a reason. These are really, really bad people.
Scary stuff. Thank you so much for being with us and updating us on this, Barry. We'll be in touch about it.